Hi, everybody. I'm Katie. I'm an addict.
Hey, Katie.
Grateful to be here clean this morning, thanks to God, my understanding and you people. And I'm real excited to be here. I text for about 3 weeks with Susan. Maybe her name was Nancy, trying to get connected to do this workshop. And I wanted step 6 by itself. And she said, well, somebody got step 6, but you can have 4, 5, and 6. So I said, okay, God still gave me what I need. And so today I'm going to share my experience, strength, and hope on step 4, 5, and 6. And I'm real grateful for this life. I'm real grateful for the steps. And step 4, we talk about a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I guess I'll do a little qualifying for myself. Before coming to NA, I qualified real early, from the 7th grade until 3 weeks before I turned 30. So that's about 13 to 29 in 3 weeks. And I'm real grateful to be here. I don't really even know if I've seen past 30. I would always see year, and I never could see past a certain age, and every time I seen myself, it was worse. It was worse than I ever could imagine. I was always gonna be getting high. I seen visions of needles, one of my yets. I seen visions of homelessness, one of my yets. And I always seen an old lady in a rocking chair having the grandchildren to bring me my stuff. So none of them looked very good for me with coming up with life. I used my first drug all the way to the end. I added some more stuff in between it, but the one that I started with that we like to tell young people now is the gateway to other drugs. I did that one. And from that point until I stopped, I used it. My means of coming to NA was by way of, I stayed in Atlanta from about 85 to 90. And I ran into a person I used to be in the military with. I graduated from high school, I was getting high, I wanted to go into the Army since the 7th grade, so I knew I was going in the military. All the stuff I did never changed my thought about the military. I always knew I wanted to go there. So in 87, I was living in Atlanta. I'm from Macon, born and raised. A person that I used to be in the military with that is here today, you know, all military people know if they call your last name, they know you. I heard my name in the midst of all this stuff I was doing that day. And it was a person that I did about 2 years with in the military. And she was already in recovery. I never heard of it. Never heard of nothing but AA. Very little, didn't even hear that much. And she was telling me about a gathering they was doing. And they was gonna be cooking out, and they was gonna be hanging out, and my mind said they gonna be getting high. She done told me she in recovery. I never heard NA. Always heard recovery. So I said, okay, they gonna be doing something. So I'm gonna go to this person's house. Didn't know nobody but her. It's so funny because I kept looking in the cooler believing something was gonna be in there other than them orange drinks they gave me. I was convinced when I opened up that cooler, it was gonna be something in there. Well, it was only orange soda, grape soda, Cokes. So I ended up having a soda. But you know, that particular day, I sat around still convincing myself that something was gonna happen to get me high. It didn't happen. So she told me about a meeting over on Avon Street that I only heard Friday nights. I didn't hear no other day of the week. She said, come on Friday, and I introduce you to everybody. I went to that meeting. Somebody was speaking. She said, pick up a white chip. I don't know what a white chip is. I've never heard of it. So she said, go up there and get your key tag chip or whatever it was, and you're in the fellowship. So my thought was, I can't be in the fellowship because I got dope on me. I never been to an NA meeting, so I never heard no drugs or paraphernalia. All I knew is I was going to meet her and I was going to get high. I met her and I went and got high. I went to buy 3 of them meters. I tell people 2.5. I went to the first one. I had my dope on me. I went to the second one. I had my dope on. I went to the third one. I just hung out on the front and waited for everybody to go in, and I left. So my recovery started, and it was just revealed this morning. I thought that was 87. And I said, about a year so I got clean. No, it took me 3 whole years before I ran back into anything to do with NA. My way of getting to NA here in Macon was the fact that my sister got real sick, and she ended up in a mental hospital. My mother was a diabetic on dialysis, and I said, in my drug-induced mind, I'm coming home to take care of them. I'm gonna leave Atlanta, I'm going home, I ain't never looking back, and I'm gonna just take care of my mother and my sister. I came home. I can't tell you honestly if I helped either one of them, but she helped me. My youngest sister was introduced to NA by way of a mental hospital. And she said to me, November the 6th, 1990, you can't go to a meeting getting high. So she explained to me all of my getting high stuff I couldn't do. You can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't drop, you gotta be totally clean. Again, never heard NA. She called them the classes. They send me to these classes. I said, well, okay, I'll go to class with you Monday. I drank Monday, so I couldn't go to the class. I got up Tuesday, and I said, I'm just not doing that. I'm gonna go to this class, because I wanted, in my mind, I thought I really wanted to help her get better. I don't even really know if I knew what mental health was back then, but I knew she was institutionalized in Millersville. And everybody around here know 49 is the nut house. So I said, okay, I'm gonna help her. I went to that meeting, picked up a white chip, never looked back. Never looked back. I didn't go by means of treatment. I didn't go by means of jail. I didn't go by means of the court. And I just still, it baffled me some days early on, but I'm still here. Today I know this was my road, this was my destiny. I was supposed to be here because I had no idea, nothing about NA. We used to have a meeting down on 2nd Street. And I would go to this meeting every day. And we tell newcomers to watch people for 90 days. Somebody told me to watch people. They ain't said female, they ain't said male, for 90 days. And you get somebody to sponsor you through this program. I said, I didn't understand sponsor. I literally had never heard any of the NA language. So all this stuff that we tell newcomers when they get here, I try and make it real simple for them because I knew I didn't know the language. Just show up. Just don't use. Come back tomorrow. It'll be okay. All that simple stuff that I learned down the road, it was good. Maybe they'd have told me that early on, I probably wouldn't have figured nothing out this day. So I end up going to meeting daily, and I watched this person literally for 90 days. I had asked another person at 30 days clean because I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what my body doing, but it's like it wants some dope, and I can't give it no dope. I've been here 30 days. They told me in 60 days I could pick up another chip, and so I'm 30 days. I'm chairing meetings. I like this. I want to keep coming back. I did hear that at my first meeting. Didn't understand it. Keep coming back. So the sponsor I picked at 90 days clean is the sponsor I kept until I had 23 years clean. To this day, all of my recovery and all of my direction, other than people in the fellowship, truly come from Ann H. And all of a sudden, I got the date, April the 12th, 2012, She sent me a letter, said she could no longer be my sponsor. I got 23 years clean then. And I still said, well, what I supposed to do without a sponsor? Because by now, I understand that sponsorship is the core of this program. I need guidance even with 23 years. So backing up, I come to the fellowship. I got involved. 30 days, I was chairing the meeting. 60 days, somebody was about to fight in my meeting. And I didn't know what to do because, hey, they about to really throw down. I'm not used to this anymore. I was used to it before I come. Nearly everywhere I went, it broke out. A fight, some cussing, some fussing. So for me to get into this program and stay, I don't judge those that leave. I still look at it the same way. By the grace of God, there go I. Because at any moment, I got a lot of yes. I got involved in H&I when I got here, and I went to the jailhouse. Every time they locked that door, I lost my voice. I couldn't say nothing. I never had been locked down. So to give H&I to some people that was locked up, I'm real grateful that everybody I interacted with when I first got here always said, you only sharing your experience, strength, and hope. Your hope is that you ain't on the other side of that bar with them. And my experience is I never been here, but I stayed locked up here. So locked up to me, I could identify up here. And my hope was always that I just don't use. I cannot afford to go back out because I don't know what's really going on with this program. What if I go out and it don't tell me to come back? And it was always the dope. What if it don't tell me to come back? And all these people I done met in 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, some I like, some I don't. But I kind of still like hanging out with them. When I got clean, we fellowship every day after our 12 noon meeting. We hung out, we went to eat, we talked about what was going on with us in our life, whether we got to share in the room or at the table. If we heard Teresa was out, we going to find Teresa. She coming back to a meeting. We was talking to me and some of my veteran friends last night. Just like no soldier left behind, no addict left behind. We was going to get them. I don't care if you ain't clean today, just come on. Come on back to the meeting. And we're gonna love you. Today I know how to let go. I love you to the end of the day. Say, what? You want me to go home? No, I ain't going home. You ain't sleep yet. I won't stay here. They told me to stay. And we literally babysit addicts early on. Katrina come check, okay, we're going on the 12-step. Well, I don't know what a 12-step is. Well, we're going to get somebody that's used to, and you stay in the car because we don't need you to go with them. And we were going to get people. So to be introduced to this program, the way I was introduced to it, I'm real grateful. I don't know if I could have got it in 95. I know I couldn't have got it in 2005. Because by that time, I'm saying these damn modern day addicts, they don't want you to say nothing to them. They don't want you to give them no direction. You can't tell me how to wear my clothes, leave me, blah, 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 blah. When I got here, people told us how to dress. They told us when to share and when not to share. I was never abused with, stay here or you're going to die MF. I was never abused with that. That language wasn't taught to me. And I don't teach it to people. I do know if I hadn't stayed here, I might have would have, but I ain't like nobody calling me no MF. I was real still crazy. I was still crazy. You cuss me out, I cuss you out. So I'm real grateful that I wasn't talked to like that. I'm from a family of 9, and we just always had something going on. Somebody was going to fight out of them 9 children. So I wasn't used to you saying in and everything to me. So I'm real grateful that I got it the way I got it. The first time I did a 4-step, it was just like doing the first step. I was journaling by the time I had 90 days. And I was journaling every day. What I wanted to cuss somebody out about, I just write it in my journal. And I was so spiritual, and that's why I didn't have to say nothing to nobody to make them mad. I'd go home and say, that bee made me blah, blah, blah. So I had to share it in a meeting, I wrote it down. And my sponsor would always say, don't read it. Wait about a year and come back and see. what you wrote, they would have threw me out of the English class. It was everywhere. I might have started off saying that B made me mad, and the next time I was so loving and I was so spiritual. And I told her, then the next line be, girl, you know you way back there in 1980. What you talking about? So newcomers, I understand. I still understand. So my first 4 step was real pretty. It was real neat. I was victimized in everything. I harmed nobody. People still owed me money and amends. And my sponsor said, you don't see any way you was wrong? No, and you see what them folks did to me. I write a step like I'm writing a story. I gotta tell you about 1960 when I was born. I gotta tell you about what I did in the 7th grade. Then I'll bring you up to like the 12th grade. And I do that still today. I try and catch myself, because it'll get you in trouble when you start telling people your whole life. So I wrote this really nice 4th step, and I understood the moral inventory of this, because thank God for Doris. 9 months clean, I was told that I used to trick. I told her, you're a lie. I didn't trick. I didn't jump in and out of cars to make no money to get my dough. She said, but you jump in and out of beds to make your money, to get your dough. There was a lot of time. I had a boyfriend that had another girlfriend. They ended up getting married on me, but he was still my boyfriend because they got married on Friday. Me and him was together on Saturday. So in my mind, they weren't really married. So I said I didn't cheat with married men because he was my man first. You know the song back in the days. He's my man and I got his mind. You can have the man, but I got the money. I ain't need his mind, I just needed his money. So I didn't understand tricking. When Doris got finished talking to me, I understood tricking. And you know how people would cross talk or cross share at each other in a meeting? I hated it. I hated it when people do it. What I shared is what the hell I meant to share. I don't need you to come and make it pretty and shape it up to your sharing. I share what I need to share. My sponsor taught me early, don't rebuttal in a meeting. Let them have that. As long as I got out what I needed to say for me and stand within the guidelines of NA. So my moral inventory, you know, I stayed in these apartments for 3 months and waved at the manager. Didn't pay no rent. You know, I kind of wanted to pay the light bill, but I'm going to pay just a little bit of it. The lights didn't get cut off. And I kind of wanted to quit working, but my mind said, you got to go to work because you can't get no dough by yourself. My mind never told me stuff to do good in them days. It always told me something crazy to do that would probably get me hurt. So I understood the moral part of this fellowship, or the moral part of the 4th step. I wasn't fearless about nothing. I always told myself, as tiny as I was, I always told myself I can handle this. I came into the fellowship truly weighing 87 pounds and wearing a size 12 children, and don't tell me I wasn't cute and fine. I was the finest thing walking at the coffee. 5, 6 times. I'm going to get me some coffee. They see me. My hair was flat. They see me. I'm going to get some coffee because I'm real, real cute. I could never see my 87 pounds because I always seen my size 7 and 8 before the dope took me where it took me. So in my mind, I was still kind of cute. And I looked real good, and I wore stuff well, and I was real kind to people. I just cussing. I wasn't that kind. My 4th step showed me that I was not a victim in everything. I put myself in some situations. When I was in Atlanta at that time, from 85 to 90, and young people think it's just happening, there was a lot of drug-related killing back then. There was a lot of selling you stuff that wasn't real back then. They think they invented everything. Mm-hmm. So we know nothing past 22. But it was a lot of places I went. A person in their right mind probably wouldn't have went. And the way I bought my dope, a person in their right mind probably wouldn't have bought it that way. I remember going to see the movie New Jack City. I had about 9 months. I'm telling you, I'm real responsible at 9 months. New Jack City. And I went with somebody that had 2 or 3 years, so they supposed to help me not use or talk me through it or whatever. New Jack City put me in such a place. I needed every step, every person, every fellowship, when I left that movie, it was just like back on the street again. Because it took me there. So I understood a lot of stuff when I got here, but today I know I didn't understand it. See, we see a lot of stuff in recovery today. People say, yeah. You ain't got it. Keep coming back. You'll catch it down the road. Because some stuff that I get today, I caught it down the road 20 plus years later. So just being able to look at me in a 4-step. Because I would look at everybody else, but I wouldn't go inside of me. What I know about the steps and what I knew back then was, I understood it was an inside job, I just didn't know what the inside job was. So the 4-step allowed me to not just keep doing my journey every day. It allowed me to start seeing some patterns, some behaviors, and some stuff I did that was not good. So, you know, you go to your sponsor and you're ready to do that step and you take it to her, and she said, But you don't told me about this. You didn't hit none of that. And now I said, I ain't write it because you knew it. I didn't write it because I didn't remember it. So most people are scared of a 4-step. I was so ready for a 4-step. I was so ready to just look at me from what I knew at that time. Because what I found out, some of my patterns, behaviors, and stuff, I was not the best sister I could have been. I was not the best daughter I could have been. I was not even the best friend I could have been. But I still felt like people did stuff to me. I hadn't got past the victimization yet because it was called grudges. That's what it was. I still held grudges. So to do a 4th step and to move on to a 5th step, because see, I didn't understand that about telling you, my sponsor, and God, but I forgot to tell me. The 5th step said tell me. So I needed, this I did it way back when. I put a chair in front of me, that's what they told me. Put a chair in front of you and talk to yourself. But see, they forgot I was crazy. So I probably even moved to the chair to talk back to myself. Because I didn't understand what all the 5th step entailed. By this time, I'm talking to a God of my understanding. I got this thing. So it's easier for me to really look in a mirror to tell me. So that I can truly say what I was saying to me. Now my sponsor is who I told, and see, this God of my understanding wasn't quite okay with me yet. And I didn't quite understand a higher power. So for me to be talking to something that I did not know how to see, feel, or touch, it was real strange. But by the time I did a 5th step, I understood a little bit. I understood that I was still mad with God. I understood that I was still blaming God. And I understood I ain't like the word God, and I don't know why these people sharing it. The book said, a God of your understanding. Can you put that your understanding on it? So I can feel like you're not putting your God on me. because that's what I was feeling. You put your guard on me, and I ain't all right with God, so I ain't going to take yours either. But for me, the God of my understanding became, first, the people in the rooms, the ones I like, and the ones I could understand back then. Because me and my higher power wasn't doing too good. Because I found out later, the reason why we didn't do too good, because I was living off my grandmama God, higher power. And I was destined, me and my sister would sit in the back of the room, and we were destined to be burned to hell in a handbasket, because we don't understand God. Me and my sister would literally sit in the back of the meetings. I taught a little something about the military, and throw grenades at people when they shared. I said, cover me while I throw my grenade. She said, okay. Bam. I done threw it at Mike P. He ain't talking about nothing. Bam. I done threw it at Mabel. She ain't talking about nothing. We would literally just cut up the meeting, but we said we was getting something out of it. So I didn't understand it, and I didn't like God, and I needed to get better. So by the time I finished our 5th step, I somewhat understood a little bit about the God of my understanding. I'm telling y'all, at 9 months, I was real spiritual. So my God had really changed me. I was not cussing as much. I was still cussing. I wasn't cussing as much. By this time, I went from 87 to about 110. Got my little weight, thinking I'm looking good. I wasn't sleeping with all the men in the fellowship, but I forgot to tell y'all in that 4th one, I had one in the fellowship. I had his friend in the fellowship. I had a dude on the outside that I met when I got home because he didn't do no dope, and we hit it off real good, and he stayed around the corner. Oh, girl, you were still going in that neighborhood club, bringing somebody home with you. So you know, by the time I got to that 5th step and really looking at me and that spiritual person, it wasn't so spiritual. I wasn't so good. I have never and never will I classify myself as a whore. They love to throw that word around this fellowship. You was a whore. No, I wasn't a whore. I like to sleeping with people. I ain't had to be in a real relationship with you. No, you didn't have to know I was in a real relationship with you, but I was in a relationship with you. So, all them people, it's a lot of work keeping people away from each other too. So, it worked real good in the fellowship because they don't care. Well, nobody was working for 12 steps. They was all into 13 steps by then. So, nobody really cared about who slept with who. So, that was real good. And so, you know, that inventory kind of, we call it scratch the surface. Trina called it peeling the onion. But as you peel the onion, you remember there's a lot of layers still coming. There's a lot of stuff you still ain't talked about. And there's a lot of stuff that you say, you done changed. But you only scratch the surface. Hell, I probably didn't even scratch the surface. I was just doing journaling. So by the time I got to the 6th step, I have never been entirely ready until the last about 5 years. I said it on my paper that I was entirely ready for the God of my understanding to change some stuff about me, but he didn't really have to do that much because, you know, I hadn't did 8 and 9 yet. So he didn't really have to do that much. I ain't harmed nobody. I just need you to get me together. Because to become entirely ready to do something, you got to really be done did some work. You got to really be done did some inside stuff. And you got to really have a God of your understanding that knows you for you. Because I forgot all about the 3rd, and I ain't turned nothing over to the care of who I could take care of me. I didn't need him at 3. I'm at 6. I didn't know how to blend all them together yet. So my entirely ready, my first one, I don't even know what I told him I was entirely ready for. I didn't know nothing. So my entirely ready was to, I don't know, I can't even tell you a lie today. I don't know what it was. my entirely ready today is the fact that whatever going on with me today, I give it to the God of my understanding. The God of my understanding today, for newcomer, I'm not going to hurt you with God. But the God of my understanding is Jesus. That's my God, not yours. Don't be sitting here like me and say, no, I ain't telling you the God of your understanding for Jesus. I said, that's mine. Because for me today, through prayer and meditation, whatever I go through, I pray about it first. Sometimes I can get out of the way, and sometimes I can't. So my entirely ready today is that I let God do whatever he needs to do for me. I wake up, my children in my head now. I wake up every day with a clean slate. I work in the school system, so if I'm going to get the children a clean slate, I got to get me a clean slate. So I wake up every morning to say, whatever your will is, give me direction. To the best of my understanding, I'll try and do it. Now, there are some days I got my own agenda. And there are some days I'm not so kind. But I can tell you this, my entirely ready is way better than it was 28 years ago. Because I had 9 months when I was doing everything, and even with my entirely ready, my 9 months, I had to work by step 1 through 9 or 10 in 9 months. So I'm good. I don't know what it means, but I'm good. By the time I had 9 months, he had 5 years, it got up, you can sponsor people. I said, really? He said, girl, you got this. You can't sponsor people at 9 months. You can feel like you can sponsor people at 9 months. But 9 months and trying to get somebody with 1 day to 30 days, none of y'all ready. None of us. So I'm real grateful today. You know what? I'm going to tell on myself. I ain't got now sponsee. At one time I had 14 sponsees. And I shared with every last one of them. Did not realize I lost myself through all of them. I made a decision when Ann left me in 2012. I'm going to go back to the basic. I'm going to sit in a meeting for 90 days. I'm going to get me a sponsor. 90 days with 23 years clean. I ain't like nobody to be my sponsor. So I had to sit 90 more days. You know my 90 days ended up to be about 3 years before I got a sponsor with 23 years clean. And even my sponsor I got today have less time than me because I wasn't looking at the time. I'm into the spirituality stuff right now. So she was what I need. I ain't a real good sponsor, y'all. I ain't did hardly nothing in 3 years with her. I made a commitment at the beginning of this year. I told her I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna work on me to get a relationship with you this year because I ain't did nothing in 3. So we have to do a sponsorship retreat together and we moving forward. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing. All right, we're gonna keep it moving, and our next speaker is Mary Quinn T.
That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Mary Quinn. I'm an addict. Good
Hey,
morning,
Mary
everyone.
Quinn.
It's pretty brave of y'all to come to 456 at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Like, I didn't really know if anyone would come. Coming to Believe was one option, or 4, 5, and 6, I think. And it's funny when we were reviewing through the topics with Sandra, who's an amazing organizer, and she was going through them. It really does require that we become a little bit precise about our recovery. Because I was like, well, I mean, I think it's all the same. Like, coming to Believe, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. What I mean, aren't we all doing the same thing at the end of the day? Just getting free. So I picked 4, 5, and 6, or perhaps it picked me, who knows, but I'm really grateful to be here. And I was hoping that by a show of hands we could go, who has worked or a billion times worked 4, 5, and 6? All of them. Okay. Who has not worked 4, 5, and 6?
Keep coming.
Okay, so those who just raised your hand, the others, the first group, will you raise your hands again? Please look around.
Oh, man.
So these people are more than likely going to be here for the rest of the convention. I highly recommend grab one after. Ask about their experience with this. That's how we do this, truly. And I'll get into the subject, but I found it really kind of trippy. I was looking at this little agenda, and so it's comical to me. So yesterday, we started out with 7, 8, and 9. Yesterday afternoon, we went to 10, 11, and 12. Now we're on 4, 5, 6, and then this afternoon we'll do 1, 2, 3. So it's just disalarming you, like neon lights, overhead, convention atmosphere, and jumble up the steps. Forget everything you know, right? That's what I came here for, was to hear something and experience something and see something that I haven't before. And so 4, 5, and 6 are real interesting to me. For me, this strategy of these steps by whoever they were given in this spiritual program, we get 1, 2, and 3, and basically thank HP for them, because it is requisite that to begin 4, for me, this addict, I had to be hooked up. Like, you gotta connect. I'm about to go do a bunch of work. You're asking me to, right? Make a searching and fearless moral inventory. So, thank the Lord that to the best of my ability, I was given an opportunity to hook it up before that. To take my time on that. To get to a place where I didn't just have maybe, right? Which is 2 to me. Maybe. Sure. And then in 3, it goes, all right, I'll try. I'll give it a go. Because coming from this little girl, Mary Quinn T., born in Jackson, Mississippi, clean date, November 26, 2005. I've lived a life of fear. There's a lot of different images, I think, that you could probably find online, but I was a little girl peeking around the corner all the time. I wanted to see what was in that room, and I was real curious about you guys, but I wasn't quite brave enough to walk in. So I'd just peek around the corner and see, is it safe? Is it safe? And then maybe my mom or my dad or someone would come and be like, Mary Quinn, come on. And I'd walk in. And I think that might be what happens with that 3rd step. Because in step 2, I'm still kind of peeking around the corner, going, maybe, yeah, something might be in there. And then in step 3, I get an opportunity to hook it up with a power greater than myself that goes, yeah, come on, buddy, you're ready. If you've never heard me share before, which probably most of y'all haven't, I'm not incredibly concrete. So, have fun. It's story time. You can close your eyes, lay down, do whatever you need to do. And I mean that sincerely. But so as we move in, as I moved into this, this inventory, this goods on paper, this like I'm going in the grocery and it's time, the lights are out, it's midnight, and we got to figure out what are we working with here. My sponsor reminded me that here's the good news. You're not going to find anything you haven't already had. I was literally, because I can be so metaphorical, I was afraid I was going to uncover something I didn't know was there, and I didn't want it to be there. Like, I was real afraid that I was going to walk into something and somehow I was going to find that the goods on paper weren't sufficient for me to live a life of happiness, joy, and freedom. And my sponsor was like, welcome, you're not alone. And again, there's nothing in here that you don't already know. But here's the gig. I know how free you want to be. She'd say, Mary Quinn, how free do you want to be? And I'd say, I want to be so free. Like, I want all the freedom. Like, none held back. Like, give it all to me. And she would say, well, you're weighing yourself down and saying you want to be free. You know, I thought about it like Ghostbusters style. Like, you go in the basement and that, y'all seen Ghostbusters original, the first one? Mm-hmm. When they go in the basement, the papers are flying all over the place. Like, if on the other side of that little library basement was freedom, I was hanging out in the basement with papers flying all over the place going, I can't see anything, y'all. What's wrong? I don't know what's here. And she was like, so that's the great thing about this fourth step. That's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out what's here. And so I went about the business. And if you have the flat book, you know, the green and gold accompaniment, it tells us what we're going to walk into. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the places where I was out of alignment. It's a fear. Fear's a huge one. Resentment. That endless loop. Refill, over and over and over. And see, the trippy thing about resentment is, like, we think, oh, I'll put all the people I'm resentful at. Well, they're just manifestations of the refeeling. Right? Because my higher power really wants me to get free. Like, real free. And so those blocks keep coming up. But I just went to refill. Hurt me, jealous, scared. Over and over and over. And y'all, I was sitting one day and that she walked in again, the girl who's prettier, smarter, cuter, and is going to sit in the same room as me, and now y'all are going to know she's the best, I'm the worst, it's over, move on, right? And she walks in, and I'm like, I hate her. I want her to die right now. And she didn't go away. Like, everywhere I went to get free, she was there too. And it was one day I was sitting in meditation, and it was presented to me. I saw an image of her standing across from me, and I felt it come. You know, it's from about here to about my chin. I'm pointing to my solar plexus and my chin, but it starts rising, and I can feel it coming up, and I'm like, oh God. And all of a sudden, her image moved. But that feeling stayed right there. And I was like, it's not her. And suddenly that thing my sponsor had said over and over, Jewel W. from Florence, Alabama, incredibly Southern woman. So she'd say, Mary Quinn, it ain't never, ever going to be about them, they, this, and that. You might as well get over it. Because if it is, you're screwed. Because you cannot change them, they, this, and that. Suddenly that made sense to me. I don't need to. I don't need to change them. They're fine. They're totems. Suddenly I can be like, thank you. Thank you for that pain over and over. Because it took me a minute. You know, I'm a master of the obvious. Like, I had to see it a bunch of times to finally go, oh, it's in here. Okay. And so in that fourth step, that's what I was writing about. And if you've worked steps much on this spiritual plane, you probably know what I'm about to say, which is that whatever step I'm on is all over my life at that time. Like, it is just everywhere I go. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. And so I was living it too.
Yeah.
So I've got the practical living and I've got the writing going on, and I'm like, oh my God, this is trippy, you know? And then in 5, as was said, Katie so beautifully, like, I get the best company in the world for me to share and have the experience of coming to the place where I go, oh, this is it. I'm not alone. I have a power source, and I acknowledge that power source in this room. I have connected, right? The therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel, meaning it's like it's like titanium steel, can't be broken. I have that going on for me. And for the first time, I'm sitting with me. Like Mary Quinn. You know, I remember the first time I went through a period in recovery not too long ago where I could not stand my voice. It was so hard to listen to, and I was paralyzed with it because I love to communicate and I love to sing and I love to chant, and I couldn't stand my voice. So I was like, I don't know what to do about that. But I went and got her too, you know, that little girl who was so scared. And I sat down with her, you know, in the room, and I said, what's going on, buddy? I got to get free of that so that I can hear the power in my voice today. And that 5th step, as I shared that, I embodied the power of my voice. It's a really, really potent process that we're going through here, you guys. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for a randomly chosen few. There's precision in our positioning right here, right now. Like, I feel compelled every time I share to say, we need you.
Yes.
Like, we need you. I need you. Please do this work. So then we come to 6, and I think 6 is really funny and awesome and interesting because it's like we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character, right? Well, I can't remove them, and I have a store full of them. And they're preventing me from seeing and being free. Of course I'm entirely ready. And you know, to that point, because what I'm entirely ready to have removed are the manifestations, the exact natures that I found in that iteration of 4 and 5, where I am at that point. So I'm as entirely ready as I can be, you know? And here's the interesting thing to me. I was trying to think of like, all right, so what's it like to be entirely ready to go on vacation? Right? Like, legit, so we're talking, I live in downtown Atlanta, so I'm going to fly, we'll say. I'm going to the West Coast. So I got to be packed. Got to tell work I'm not going to be there. Got to get my home group covered. Packing in itself, I mean, there's like your toiletries, you know, underwear, toothbrush, etc., etc. Then you got to tidy up the house. You got to do all these things. I have, on a pretty consistent basis, done pretty good at that, but almost every time I've forgotten like one thing. Like minimum one thing, you know, but mostly one. But you know what? I get there. Because the God of my understanding's grace is good. You see, at this point, I've hooked up the channel enough that what I can't, the higher power in me and in you makes up for. So I don't have to worry and sit and toil over entirely ready. Well, I mean, George knows very well, I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning to get here to share at 9. I live about an hour and a half away. I was nervous. I care. I didn't want to be late for the party. I don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. for this sixth step. All I need to do is show up and say, I want to be free such that I'm going to do what y'all have told me. I will try. 3, 6, 9, 12. Right? Anybody in here like numbers a lot? Mm-hmm. I'm kind of obsessed. We can talk about that after this meeting, but there's a lot of magic in the order of these steps. And so if you look at step 3, we made a decision. Step 6, we were entirely ready. Step 9, we made direct amends. And step 12, we tried to carry this message. It's basically something's happened and I'm ready. That's what I hear over and over and over. It's like, something has happened. Not for y'all only, but for me too. Like, I got a piece. And I think the magic and the miracle, and I'm probably really close, but the miracle to me, what has happened as a result of keeping coming back and working these steps over and over, is that the illusion has dissolved to a point to which I no longer have to worry about any of the lists, about any of the earthbound material, sensory items. You know, the sensory system's great. It's really, really great. It's a gift of life, right? But we live on a polar planet. So there's dark and light to everything. So those senses that I can be like, wow, God goes, wow, you get earth, you get a body, you get senses. They'll help you experience, so when you bump into something, you can figure out what it is. They're also going to give you enjoyment. Eat something sweet, ooh, that was great, you know? Smell something like a rose, that's beautiful. But they can go out of alignment, right? Suddenly, I think it's all about the senses. It's all about, I need this, I'll take yours too, and those as well, bring it all over, I'm going to put it all right here. Well, dadgummit, y'all, I get back to 4 again, and I've got a pile in a basement of papers, and I'm like, I can't see anything. I'm stuck again. And slowly, as I start to work these, I go, you know what? I don't need all that. This life, this thing, this force that y'all have hooked me up to is greater than any words I can ever share. So all I can really do is pray that this light that shines through me will reflect to you enough that you'll go, oh my gosh, I have one too. I want to see mine. And then we carry it and we pass it on. So, you know, that message, the message of hope, and the promise of freedom has been true for me. I am currently finishing up another third step. And I was writing, I'm grateful, Katie, that there are people, friends of my life who taught me how to write. I write every day as well. I write a lot in the morning, write. But on my steps, I've gotten to a place where I just am really curious. You know, the last time I worked the steps, I did an exercise where I literally would read the step, and then I'd put my pen on the paper and write. And whatever that was the response that was coming through me, as long as I had prayed first. At this time, I'm just really finding out a lot. I'm really finding out a lot in this third step about what's happened over the past, 13, 14, 15 years. Time and space are an illusion, so I don't really know about all that. It gets me a little confused, to be honest. But I'm really grateful today. So again, those who have not worked 4, 5, 6 in totality, raise your hand. Okay, now those who don't have, keep your hand raised. Keep it high, super high. Those who don't have your hand raised, look around and find someone to talk to after the meeting. These people need your help. Okay, peace be with you. Thank you, I love you.
Thanks for sharing.